There is one habit shared by almost everyone who is easy to influence. They cannot tolerate being alone, not because solitude is painful, but because solitude removes the audience. The moment no one is watching, no one is listening, and no one is reacting, something uncomfortable begins to surface. There is no applause to chase, no approval to collect, no distraction powerful enough to drown out their own thoughts. That is why so many people instinctively reach for their phones, surround themselves with constant conversation, or fill every quiet moment with noise. They are not escaping silence. They are escaping themselves. An empty restaurant feels awkward. A walk without company feels pointless. An evening without notifications feels strangely heavy. None of these experiences are dangerous, yet millions avoid them because they expose a question few people are willing to answer. Who are you when no one is validating your existence? Machiavelli understood that the strongest minds are never identified by how confidently they perform in public. They are identified by what they choose when there is nothing to gain from being seen. What if the habits most people dismiss as loneliness are actually the first signs of a mind that is becoming increasingly difficult to influence? The next 6 habits may answer that question. These are not 6 habits designed to make you more productive, more confident, or more successful. They are 6 psychological tests. Each one quietly measures the same thing: how much of your mind still depends on other people. Most people believe intelligence is measured by knowledge, education, or quick thinking. Machiavelli saw something different. He understood that the person who controls their own mind is far more difficult to control than the person who simply knows more facts. That is why every habit in this video points toward the same hidden advantage. Eating alone is not about food. Walking alone is not about exercise. Remaining unknown is not about avoiding people. They are all expressions of a deeper kind of freedom that most people never develop. By the final habit, you may realize that what looked like loneliness is actually one of the strongest forms of psychological independence a person can possess. There is a man who always eats lunch by himself. He rarely joins the loud conversations in the office. After work, he walks home without headphones, without music, and without feeling the need to call anyone. He almost never talks about his plans, and he seems perfectly comfortable disappearing for hours without explaining where he has been. People have already made up their minds about him. Some assume he is lonely. Others think he lacks confidence. A few quietly wonder if something is wrong with him. They are all watching the same person, yet they are seeing completely different stories. What they never notice is that while everyone else is constantly reacting to people, he is quietly becoming independent of them. Every hour spent alone strengthens his ability to think without pressure, choose without approval, and remain calm without reassurance. Years later, the people who once pitied him begin asking a different question. How does he stay so composed when everyone else is overwhelmed? They think the answer appeared overnight. They never realize it was built in the moments they dismissed as loneliness. And that is exactly why the strongest transformations are almost invisible while they are happening. Number 1, you enjoy eating alone. Very few people are uncomfortable because they are eating alone. They are uncomfortable because they believe other people are watching them eat alone. That difference matters. The table is not the source of discomfort. The imagined audience is. Notice what happens the moment someone enters a restaurant alone. Many people immediately reach for their phones, pretending to answer messages that do not exist. Others eat as quickly as possible or avoid looking around the room. They are not responding to reality. They are responding to the possibility of being judged. A dangerously intelligent person experiences the same situation very differently. They understand that needing strangers to silently approve of their existence is still a form of dependence. The crowd does not need to speak. The mere possibility of its opinion is often enough to influence behavior. Machiavelli understood that control rarely begins with force. It begins with dependence. The moment another person's approval becomes emotionally valuable, that approval also becomes leverage. Whoever can give it can also withdraw it. Whoever can influence your emotional state can quietly influence your decisions. That is why eating alone is far more than a personal preference. It is a small psychological test. Can you enjoy a simple meal without performing for invisible spectators? Can you remain completely at ease when there is nothing to gain from being seen? If the answer is yes, you have already weakened one of the most common forms of social control. The person who no longer performs for strangers has already reclaimed a piece of their freedom. And once you stop seeking silent approval from the people around you, another transformation begins. Your attention slowly returns to the one place where real power is built, your own mind. That is exactly what the second habit reveals. Number 2, you enjoy walking alone. Most people never actually walk alone. Their body may be moving, but their attention belongs to someone else. Music fills every silence. Podcasts replace their own thoughts. Endless scrolling continues even while they are crossing the street. Every quiet moment is immediately occupied because an undirected mind makes many people uncomfortable. That discomfort is not accidental. It reveals a deeper dependency. A mind that constantly consumes other people's voices gradually loses confidence in producing its own. Instead of observing reality, it reacts to a continuous stream of opinions, emotions, and distractions chosen by someone else. Without realizing it, attention becomes borrowed rather than owned. Machiavelli understood that whoever directs your attention slowly begins directing your judgment. People rarely surrender their independence all at once. They surrender it one distraction at a time. Every unnecessary interruption weakens the habit of thinking for yourself. Every moment spent consuming without reflecting quietly strengthens someone else's influence over your perception of the world. That is why a solitary walk is not simply an exercise for the body. It is an exercise in reclaiming ownership of your mind. Walk without needing constant stimulation. Let silence become uncomfortable, and then remain there long enough for that discomfort to disappear. Pay attention to the rhythm of your steps, the people around you, and the thoughts that arise without invitation. Eventually, you will notice something remarkable. The noise inside your head was never your own. Much of it belonged to everyone else. If this habit already feels natural to you, comment, "My mind is my own." It is a simple reminder that attention is your most valuable possession, and every day you choose who controls it. The mind that can walk without distraction is already learning to think without permission. And once your attention truly belongs to you again, you no longer feel the need to announce every ambition to the world. That is where the third habit begins. Number 3, you enjoy working in silence. One of the strongest temptations is not to quit your goal, it is to announce it. The moment people begin a new project, many feel an irresistible urge to tell someone. They share their plans online, describe their next move to friends, and seek encouragement before any meaningful progress has been made. It feels motivating, but psychologically, something dangerous has already happened. The attention that should have been invested in action has been exchanged for recognition. Instead of building quietly, they begin performing the image of someone who is building. The applause arrives before the results, and once recognition comes early, discipline often weakens. Machiavelli warned that revealing your intentions gives the world opportunities it never had before. Some people will discourage you, others will imitate you. Many will simply watch more closely than you realize. Information, once released, can never be fully reclaimed. A dangerously intelligent person understands this instinctively. They would rather surprise people with outcomes than entertain them with promises. Their confidence does not depend on witnesses. Their discipline does not require applause. Progress itself becomes enough. Every hour spent working in silence strengthens two forms of power at once. It produces visible results while protecting invisible intentions. One builds competence. The other preserves strategic advantage. The strongest moves are often invisible until they are impossible to stop. When your actions become quieter than your ambitions, something unexpected happens. You begin noticing details that people constantly reveal about themselves while trying to be noticed. That is where the fourth habit begins. Number 4, you enjoy solving problems alone. Most people look for advice before they look for answers. The moment they face uncertainty, their first instinct is to ask someone else what they should do. Not because the problem is impossible to solve, but because uncertainty itself feels uncomfortable. Borrowing another person's opinion feels safer than trusting their own judgment. A dangerously intelligent person responds differently. Before seeking guidance, they seek clarity. They sit with the problem. They examine it from different angles. They question their own assumptions before accepting someone else's conclusions. They understand that every difficult situation contains information, but only for the person patient enough to observe it. Machiavelli understood that independent judgment is one of the rarest forms of power. Advice is valuable, but it always carries part of the advisor's fears, ambitions, and limitations. The more people rely on borrowed thinking, the more their decisions quietly become reflections of other people's priorities rather than their own. That is why solving problems alone is not about rejecting wisdom. It is about developing the ability to think before you follow. Every difficult problem becomes a private training ground. Each solution strengthens pattern recognition, emotional discipline, and confidence under pressure. Over time, the goal is no longer to find the correct answer as quickly as possible. It is to become the kind of person who remains calm while everyone else is waiting for instructions. A mind that can solve its own problems becomes increasingly difficult to mislead. And once you no longer depend on other people to think for you, another change quietly takes place. You no longer feel the need for other people to notice you. That is the fifth habit. Number 5, you enjoy being unknown. Most people are not afraid of being ignored. They are afraid of being invisible. That fear quietly shapes the way they dress, speak, post online, and even make life decisions. Recognition becomes proof of existence. The more attention they receive, the more secure they feel. Without realizing it, they begin living for an audience they cannot control. A dangerously intelligent person understands a hidden danger in that exchange. The more visible you become, the easier you are to study. Every unnecessary opinion you share reveals your thinking. Every emotional reaction exposes another weakness. Every attempt to attract attention leaves behind information that others can collect, predict, and eventually use. Machiavelli never suggested that power should always be displayed. He understood that unseen power is often the most effective kind. People cannot prepare for what they cannot accurately measure. They cannot manipulate motives they do not fully understand. Mystery forces others to make assumptions, and assumptions are usually less reliable than facts. That is why truly capable people often move with surprising restraint. They do not feel compelled to prove their intelligence, advertise every success, or explain every victory. Their confidence comes from results, not recognition. While others compete for visibility, they quietly increase their capability. The paradox is simple. The less you need to be noticed, the more difficult you become to influence. What stays hidden is often what stays protected. If this reflects the way you choose to live, comment, "Stay unseen," not as a slogan, but as a reminder that your greatest strength does not always need an audience. And when you no longer chase attention, your focus naturally shifts towards something far more valuable. You begin observing what everyone else is too busy displaying. That is the sixth and most dangerous habit. Number 6. You enjoy watching more than talking. The loudest person in the room usually believes they control the conversation. Very often, they control the least. Every unnecessary sentence reveals something. Every complaint exposes a frustration. Every boast hints at an insecurity. Every attempt to impress others quietly answers a question no one asked. Most people are so focused on expressing themselves that they never notice how much they are revealing. A dangerously intelligent person develops the opposite habit. They observe before they participate. While others rush to fill silence, they study facial expressions, timing, contradictions, emotional reactions, and the small behavioral patterns that people rarely realize they display. They understand that words are only one layer of communication. Human nature speaks constantly through impatience, ego, fear, pride, and desire. Machiavelli understood that knowledge is collected long before influence is exercised. The person who speaks first often provides information. The person who listens first gathers it. That difference changes everything. Observation allows you to recognize motives before promises, weakness before confidence, and intention before action. It becomes easier to predict who is seeking approval, who is protecting an ego, who is hiding insecurity, and who is quietly preparing something significant. Once patterns become visible, manipulation becomes far more difficult because very little surprises you anymore. This is why solitude matters so much. The person who is comfortable being alone has already escaped the constant urge to perform. Without that internal pressure, their attention is free to move outward. Instead of asking, "How am I being perceived?" they begin asking, "What are other people revealing?" without realizing it. That single shift transforms the way they experience every conversation. They stop reacting. They start reading. And the people around them rarely notice when the balance of power quietly changes. The greatest advantage is not that people fail to understand you. It is that you learn to understand people long before they understand themselves. That is why enjoying solitude has never been the real lesson. Solitude was only the training ground. The real reward is a mind that cannot be easily distracted, emotionally manipulated, or strategically predicted. That is what makes intelligence truly dangerous. People often misunderstand solitude because they only see its surface. They see someone eating alone and assume loneliness. They see someone walking alone and assume isolation. They see someone working quietly and assume a lack of ambition. What they fail to recognize is that the most important transformations almost never happen in front of an audience. They happen in private. Machiavelli understood that power does not begin when you learn to influence other people. Power begins when other people gradually lose their ability to influence you. That change is invisible. No ceremony announces it. No achievement unlocks it overnight. It is built through hundreds of ordinary moments that most people overlook. Every time you choose your own judgment over public approval, every time you resist the urge to explain yourself, every time you refuse to perform simply to satisfy an invisible audience, another small piece of your freedom returns. Most people spend their lives trying to become more impressive. Dangerously intelligent people become harder to control. There is a profound difference between those two goals. The first depends on the opinions of others. The second depends only on the discipline of your own mind. This is why solitude is not the destination. It is the training ground. Silence teaches observation. Observation develops judgment. Judgment creates independence. And independence quietly becomes power. Once you understand this, being alone no longer feels like something you have to endure. It becomes something you deliberately protect, because every uninterrupted hour allows your mind to grow stronger without being shaped by someone else's expectations. Every quiet decision reinforces the habit of thinking before reacting. Every moment spent away from constant validation reminds you that confidence is strongest when it no longer requires witnesses. Eventually, people begin noticing something different about you, not because you demand attention, but because you no longer need it. They sense a calm they cannot easily explain. They notice that you are difficult to pressure, difficult to provoke, and surprisingly difficult to predict. Conversations no longer pull you in every direction. Praise no longer changes your identity. Criticism no longer dictates your choices. The source of your stability is invisible. That is why so few people understand it. The greatest advantage is not having more knowledge than everyone else. It is needing less from everyone else. The less approval you seek, the more clearly you think. The less attention you chase, the more accurately you observe. The less emotionally dependent you become, the less leverage the world has over your decisions. That is the hidden connection behind every habit we explored today. Not solitude. Freedom. Freedom from invisible dependence. Freedom from unconscious influence. Freedom from becoming the kind of person who can be controlled simply because they need something from the crowd. That is why dangerous intelligence is rarely loud. It does not compete for attention. It does not rush to prove itself. It simply continues growing while everyone else is distracted by being seen. If this perspective changed the way you think about intelligence, subscribe for more lessons inspired by Machiavelli, strategy, and the hidden patterns of human nature. Because in the end, The people who become truly powerful are rarely the ones who attract the most attention. They are the ones who no longer need it.